Welcome to the Festival of Media Global at Rome, at the beginning of the first day, and we've got off to an amazing start. I'm absolutely delighted to say I'm joined by Kevin Jorgeson, who, stunned the world by climbing the Dawn Wall a few months ago and has come to share his story of that event. How are you finding the event so far?
It's great. Media played such a big role in this story becoming known. Like I said just now on stage, I'm not here because I climbed the Dawn Wall. I'm here because everyone found out about this climb.
Yeah.
So the Festival of Media was really interesting to me because I really got to dive into and think about the role media played in inspiring millions of people around the world who followed this climb.
Yeah. You said some really interesting stuff about the nature of the importance of story in all of this that kind of brought people in. You said that you've been sharing content on social media for years, but it never had such a response.
Right.
What do you think it was that finally sort of really brought people into this story?
I think there are a lot of things that came together in a magical way that you can't predict that made this story take off the way it did.
Yeah.
The fact that it was in a known place like Yosemite and not an obscure corner of the world.
Yeah.
The fact that it's called the Dawn Wall and not something obscure like the Aquarian Wall or something. You know, something that evokes possibility and new beginning. The fact that a platform like the New York Times broke the story and did it not from a sport perspective, but from a human endeavor perspective that people could relate to, despite Tommy and I doing something that is so remote and so individual.
Yeah.
So I think that dichotomy was really interesting. I don't think people expected to relate to the story in a way that, because we're doing something that's so unrelatable. So I think that has something to do with it.
Okay. So many media owners and broadcasters and publishers that are here at this event today would love to create something that's as engaging as you guys created and
sure.
that resonates as much. I mean, if you had a top tip for them that if they're looking for something that's really going to gain that shareability factor, that engagement factor, what would you say it is?
Don't invest in media, don't invest in content, invest in story. And it comes down to, I think, those three things that I ended on, which is be passionate, be bold, be collaborative. What are you passionate about? Tell that story or find people who embody that story so that you attract the people that share that passion. And from there, you can do something bold together. Maybe your product enables them to do their own bold dream, and you begin this relationship of collaboration. That hashtag, What's Your Dawn Wall, in a way, yes, Tommy and I's partnership was collaboration, but that simple little hashtag is also its own form of collaboration because you can search that, and now you can read stories from all around the world of people sharing their innermost dreams, some of which maybe they've never shared before. Maybe it's to start their own business, maybe it's to go back to school, maybe it's to run a marathon, maybe it's to beat MS. I mean, there's so many stories out there. And by starting with story, your consumers, your audience, whatever you want to call it, are able to cast themselves in what they're reading and what they're putting out there. And that's the beginning of a conversation.
Yeah, the hashtag is genius. Who came up with that?
My girlfriend Jacqueline came up with that. Yes.
Fantastic. No, to that.
She's a storyteller, genius in her own right. And where that came from is that we were on the wall, obviously, and we had lots of downtime when we're resting, especially on like full rest days. And Jackie and I were talking, and we were, at this point, the media storm had begun. We were doing our best to ignore it. But instead of being passive, we started to talk about, how can we turn this inspiration into action? How can we put a mirror in front of all of this attention and reflect it back on the people who are following in a way that can be useful and not just entertaining? Because I think that's the difference also between content and story. Content's kind of entertaining. It's good for a second, 2 seconds, and then you swipe past it, you know? But story is engaging, and that difference is critical. So the hashtag enabled us to put a mirror in front of all of the attention in a way that took that interest and inspiration and made people ask themselves, why am I following this story? Why am I checking on it every single day? Who am I rooting for and why? And then from there you can say, oh, it's the lack of partnership I have in my life, and that's something I want to solve. Or it's the lack of a dream or an endeavor, and I know I have it, I just have been ignoring it, so I'm not going to ignore it anymore. I mean, look it up. These stories they're amazing.
There's something absolutely relatable. I really appreciate your time today and this morning. And are you going to be sticking around for the rest of the festival?
Yes. Yeah,
Fantastic.
there are a couple sessions I want to attend.
Oh, anything in particular you'd like to share with us, or?
Oh man, anything on storytelling.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things I kind of skimmed through the program.
Yeah.
Filtering everything for the word story. And those are the ones I'm going to attend.
And hopefully you get to see a bit of Rome as well.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Really enjoyed having you here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.